we talk about leave, we mean we were given a pass, say a 14-day pass. So we could, and our rail tickets to get home and whatnot. Well, we were allowed 14 days a year. Plus, of course, every weekend when we could do it. But it wasn't work going home from Northern Ireland for 7 days. So I had to save my leave then till 14 days. But the weekend was just simply a normal weekend that anybody does in Civvy Street. So you finish at 12 o'clock, have your lunch, and then you can do what you want.
You had neighbours who were all very friendly because they were all in transit. So we'd got some young people and some majors as our neighbours. We had functions in the mess that we could go to. There were the church services held. There was NAFI, where you could do shopping. There was a library. So there was a life on the camp.
There were plenty of bars. Every bar had a jukebox of some sort, and you listened to the music and chatted to the girls if you got the chance, which wasn't very often. Not in my case, anyway.
Well, Ray used to ring quite regularly, probably every 2 or 3 days, because he did work in the telephone exchange at Crookham in Hampshire. I think it was called Queen Elizabeth Barracks, and he was in a position to have a phone call through to the office where I worked. We hadn't got a phone at home at that time. I don't think any of my friends' parents had got telephones either. So it was backed up with letters occasionally, and of course coming home.
Well, it is important because you feel so far away, although we weren't. I mean, in today's age you're probably an hour and a half away by train, but in those days you were up virtually a whole day away. So it was important that you did write and keep in touch and find out what's going on back at work, and how was Jean, how was her family, my family.
My mother used to send the newspapers, the Bedworth Observer and the Pink Telegraph, and I kept up with the football that way.
The passes usually were issued with 24-hour or 48-hour, and that occurred probably about once every month or so, that you'd probably get a 12-hour pass or a 24-hour pass. If I came back home on a 48-hour pass, the first biggest thing was getting through from Aldershot, to Aldershot rather, and then up into London via Waterloo to Euston, then from Euston up here. That was the old steam trains. So I mean, you can tell virtually that's near enough half a day or more than half a day gone by the time you finish.
He did purchase a small motorbike, which meant he could be quicker coming in from Aldershot to Bedworth rather than train. And we did used to go out on the motorbike, and we did get as far as the Norfolk Broads and the Tulip Fields once, which was a long way from Bedworth. And local places, we'd go to Coventry and go to the Pictures, which was everyone's entertainment then. There was a lot of cinemas. And we liked the theatre, and we did like walking and cycling. We both had cycles.
And then you came back home and you tried to fit back into what you'd left. Meet the friends that you'd left, the girlfriend or whatever, your wife or whatever, your family, and you'd try and fit into what you'd left. Go down the pub with your mates that were left, or those that were older than yourself or even younger than yourself. So you tried to get back into what it was.
If we only had what we call a 24-hour leave, which was just literally a weekend, couldn't go really too far. We went to Hamburg to, I borrowed my friend's car, and another friend of mine had borrowed another car as well. And 8 of us went up to see Hamburg play Burnley in the semi-final of the European Cup. And if I remember correctly, Burnley lost 4-0 to Hamburg. And my other friend in his car, we were all due to come back that same evening, even though we got a 48-hour leave pass. And Jim Cole, his name was, he had an accident in his car that had to be repaired. So they were going to stop until the following day, so we thought, well, we can't leave him in case I got trouble, we'll stop as well. So the four of us found a nice little hotel, and we booked in there for the night. Next door to the hotel was a bar called the Star Club, and we decided to go in there and have a few drinks. There was a German group playing when we went in, and that was followed by an English group called the Beatles. We'd never heard of them. And the Beatles were halfway through their stint, and John Lennon shouted across the room, "Anybody here from England?" I think he said first. And we said, "Yeah, we are." And he said, "Anybody from Liverpool?" And the other three lads with me, they were all from Liverpool. "Yes, we are." And John Lennon says, "Stay we are, boys, we'll all have a drink afterwards." And when they'd finished their gig, down they came, and we all sat round, the 8 of us sat round, had a few beers until about 4 in the morning. Not the same 4, but 4 of us as well, went to Berlin, purely chance. We had a leave and we just wanted to go to Berlin. And we got the train, we had to have our ID and everything. We weren't allowed to travel in uniform, we had to have civilian clothes. And we were checked on the military train going to Berlin by the Russian guards. In those days the Russians were in control of that sector. We stayed at the Olympic Stadium, which was where the Royal Signals plus a few other regiments had their army camps and the bases there. And that particular evening we'd just decided to go to East Berlin, which we could because we'd got our pass. And we went to East Berlin and we met 4 girls, and we thought, this is nice here. 4 21-year-old boys, we've met 4 East German girls. We said, we'll see you tomorrow night. And the following day we got on the train again to go, and a lot of tension, we could all notice the tension as well. And the Russian guard had come, checked our ID, and he said, "Please go back to West Berlin." And we said, "No, we're going to meet some girls." And he took out his gun and said, "Please get off the train, cross over, go back to West Berlin." And we thought, well, you don't argue with a Russian guard with a gun pointed at you. So we went back, and there was a lot of tension in the air, and we could tell. And we were sitting outside the Taverna Gasthaus by the Brandenburg Gate, and the next thing, Russian guards were literally rolling barbed wire in front of the Brandenburg Gate. That was the start of the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall didn't go up overnight, it took weeks and weeks. I think the barbed wire was certainly there when we left Berlin,